Look, it's the Harambe house. R.I.P. Harambe. This is Jacob's.
Crab car.
Jacob's got
lobster,
crabs.
Prawn, fish, and squid. Mr. Mutumbo's. That's where I want to go.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna get that then. Hotel Rwanda. Oh my God.
Burudika.
Burudika. Clean beds, fresh water, and genocide. Hey, at least you got clean beds though, and fresh water.
Nah, too soon, dude.
Ah, come on. It was like 30 years ago, bro. Come on. Come on. Come on. It's the native African popcorn.
And my friends, over on the right hand side, watch those hands, arms, feet, and legs, and your doors will be sliding shut. Thank you so much, Warden. And as we say out here on the reserve twin day, which is Swahili, or let's go. Jumbo everyone, and welcome aboard Kilimanjaro Safaris today. My name is Haley, and I'm going to be your safari guide as we make our way into the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Now, before we get started out there on our journey, I do have a few very important safety reminders first. Number one is to remain fully and completely seated at all times, even while the truck is not in motion. And number two, please keep all of those hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the truck at all times as well. Now, this will be a photo safari today, so feel free to have your phones and cameras already out and ready to take photos and videos of some of these animals we may see out there, but I do recommend putting them in a live action or a video setting to help make sure that you are able to capture the best photo and video possible, as these animals are usually pretty active and they don't always stop to pose for our cameras, and we also cannot stop for every single animal that we may find out here either. But now we are going to get started in the Little Aturi Forest first, which is home to some of nature's most shyest creatures that like using those natural body markings and camouflage to blend in with their surroundings.
Oh, wow.
Now, just over to our right-hand side, we're going to find that brown animal to start us off here, known as the okapi. But now, as you can see, that okapi is wearing its zebra party pants today with those black and white stripes along those back and legs. Now, those stripes oftentimes make people think that okapis are related to the zebra family, but they are just the closest living relative of the giraffe. Now, just like giraffes, okapis have a very long prehensile tongue that they can use to wrap around the branches of the forest to pull their food right off from with, but okapis can also use those long prehensile tongues to clean their ears and even lick their very own eyeballs. Now, it looks like just up ahead, kind of hanging out on the downward slope of this hill coming up here, we're going to find the smallest rhino species in Africa. It looks like there might be one kind of tucked behind those rocks back there to our left as well. But we're going to get a better view of this one kind of up here on this hill for us today. Now, the black rhinoceros is the smallest rhino species found in Africa, but they still weigh up to about 3,000 pounds. Now, the black rhinoceros is considered a browser of the forest with their pointed shaped upper prehensile, making it a little bit easier for them to latch onto those twigs and branches to pull their food right off from. Now, right over here to our right-hand side, we're going to find this black and white bird just making its way kind of in front of that bush there, known as the saddle-billed stork. Now, that stork may look pretty small, but they can stand up to about 5 feet tall and have a wingspan of 9 feet wide. Now, over to our left, we're going to see two types of antelope here. Now, this grayish color antelope is known as the greater kudu, and then you may see a couple more of those copper color antelopes known as the bongos. Now, bongos are known as the ghost of the forest because they are rarely ever seen in the wild. We're going to continue along our journey just up ahead now as we are making our way down into the waters of the Safi River, which is home to some of those aquatic animals that spend most of their time down in the water, so they can get a little bit trickier to spot and find, as they tend to look like a floating rock or even a dark shadow completely submerged underneath the water's surface. But it looks like those aquatic animals are actually going to be out on dry land just up ahead to our right hand side. Now you may already notice quite a few of these pink-backed pelicans kind of hanging out over on the shore to our right as well. We're also going to find 2 Nile hippopotamus over here on the shoreline as well.
It's me after lunch.
It's me and Jacob. The majority of their day down in the water as a way to keep from overheating. In fact, they can actually hold their breath for about 8 minutes underwater at a time before ever coming up for air. Now, on average, a hippopotamus will weigh up to about 5,500 pounds in size. But despite their very large size, they are actually known to outrun a human up on dry land. But a hippo is an herbivore, as their diets consist mainly of fruits and vegetables, with occasional grass and hay even mixed into their diet as well. Now, I know that we have seen quite a few herbivores back there in the water, but just over to our left, we are crossing over some pretty dangerous carnivores now. Now, these carnivores are known as the Nile crocodiles, and they are the largest crocodilian found in Africa. As on average, they can grow to be about as long as a giraffe is tall, and weigh up to about 500 pounds on the average.
So cool. Crocodiles.
Now, those crocodiles can go up to months at a time without ever eating, and that's because they can actually eat up to about half of their body weight in just one single feeding. Now, you may notice how our landscape up ahead here is starting to change quite a bit, which means that we are actually making our way down into the savanna. Now, the savanna is a mainly flat and very dry piece of land that has very few and minimal trees on it, especially compared back there to the forest and the river that we were just in. Now, the savanna is home to very few and minimal trees, which also means that the animals that call the savanna home have to rely on that natural speed and agility to help them evade and protect themselves from any predators that they may face in the wild. Now, just over to our right-hand side here, it looks like we're going to find a black and white striped animal known as the Hartman's mountain zebra, and a couple of the tallest animals in the entire world. Now, you can tell that is the Hartman's mountain zebra by its white underbelly and thicker black stripes along its back and legs. Now, giraffes can grow to be about 20 feet tall, and a whole group of giraffes together are known as a tower, as they tend to tower over everything and everyone on the savanna. And I do believe I see a few more giraffe actually up ahead in the distance, so hopefully we're going to get a little bit closer and maybe try to find a much better view of a few giraffe a little bit later on through our journey. But if you look very closely just over to the left, they're kind of tucked behind the corner of these rocks here, but there are a few African painted dogs lying down. Not quite the easiest for us to actually see today though, but the African painted dogs may look very similar to hyenas, but are not related. We're going to find quite a few more of those Hartman's mountain zebras here to our left, as well as the sable antelope out there as well. Now, the Hartman's mountain zebra are the only species of zebra with an extra fold of skin underneath their necks known as a dewlap. Now, that dewlap is something that will help aid the zebra in blood circulation to help them stay nice and cool out in the hot savanna weather. Now, I know that we've already seen a couple of giraffes along our journey, so we're going to see at least one more in the meantime. But our giraffe out here on the reserve are known as the Maasai giraffe, which you can tell by that rough and jagged edge across the lacy pattern spread throughout the giraffe's body. Now, giraffes are an animal who I like to say that have a lot of love to share and give the other animals on the savannah, as giraffes have some pretty big hearts. In fact, a giraffe's heart will weigh up to about 20 pounds. We're going to find a few more of those giraffes off to our right-hand side here as well. Now, even though giraffes are the tallest animal in the world, they are some pretty fast creatures who can actually run up to a speed of about 30 miles per hour. But now, giraffes are a very active animal, as kind of like myself, giraffes also spend most of their day eating and looking for food, as they have a long prehensile tongue of about 16 to 18 inches long that they'll use to reach up to pull their food off of those lower hanging branches, just like this giraffe over to our right is doing underneath those palm trees up ahead there. But also to our right, we're going to find the Ankole cattle, which are those brown and white animals with those very large horns, as well as quite a few wildebeest up there on that hillside as well. Now, the Ankole cattle's horns can grow to be about 4 to 6 feet long. Now, the wildebeest are the largest migratory animal of the savannah, traveling thousands and thousands of miles across the savannah each year. But wildebeest like to travel in some very large herds that will reach up to about 1.5 million wildebeest at just one time. And just over to our right, we can actually see another giraffe one more time there. But I am noticing that there are quite a few trees actually broken down up ahead here, which could be a pretty good sign that we are making our way out into some elephant territory now. Now, elephants are the largest land mammal to walk the planet, but they like to bulldoze trees down to help them clear a path when on the hunt for food and water. But elephants also like to bulldoze trees down, sometimes just for fun as well. Just past this tree to our right-hand side, we are going to find an African elephant. Now, you can tell this is the African elephant just by its ear shape, as its ears are shaped just like the continent of Africa. Also, over to our left-hand side, kind of back in the corner there, you may have to look very quickly to catch a glimpse of that African mandrill who just made his way behind those bushes there. But the African mandrill is the largest monkey species in the entire world, as the male mandrill will weigh up to about 100 pounds. Now, you may be able to catch a glimpse of the backside of the African elephant if you look over your right-hand shoulder there, but not quite the best view, unfortunately. But I'm actually hoping that we're going to get lucky up ahead and maybe even find a few more elephants out here today. Now, elephants like to live and operate in what is called a matriarchal society, which means that baby female elephants will grow up to spend the rest of their lives with their mothers. Now, baby male elephants, they will spend the early years of their lives with their mothers as well, but once those males reach their late teenage years, they will actually venture off and then live by themselves. And then later on in life, those male elephants will form a herd of all male elephants known as a bachelor herd.
Yeah.
And we did just see the male elephant back there, which we can tell by the fact that he was living all by himself. So we're going to see if we can maybe find that matriarchal society of elephants up ahead here. But now, as I mentioned, they are the largest land mammal to walk the planet, as elephants can weigh anywhere from about 2.5 tons all the way up to 7 tons. But they also have a very long trunk that will grow from the front part of their face, which will grow to be almost 7 feet long. But now, an elephant's trunk just by itself actually has more muscles in it than we as humans have in our whole entire bodies. But elephants can use those trunks for some everyday functions like drinking, breathing, and eating. Now, you may notice a little bit of dirt right over here on the back side of this elephant. Now, elephants are known to have very sensitive skin, so it is very, very common to find an elephant using its long trunk to fling dirt and mud along their backs to act as a natural sunblock to help them coat and protect their skin from the hot savanna sun. Now, to go along with an elephant's very sensitive skin, they are also known to have very sensitive hearing as well. Now, due to conservation efforts, we have learned elephants are afraid of and will physically run away from bees, as they tend to find that buzzing sound bees make very annoying. Now, the African elephant population in the wild was decreasing, though, as these African elephants were also injuring themselves when trampling through farmers' fences to eat and destroy some of those farmers' crops. Now, the Disney Conservation Fund has been partnering very closely with those farmers over the last few years as a part of the Elephant and Bees Project to help them replace their fences around their crops with some natural beehives. Now those beehive fences will help protect the elephants in the wilds a little bit better, as when elephants get too close to those beehives, they can actually hear that buzzing sound from up to miles away with that very sensitive hearing. And then they will make a loud trumpeting noise with those long 7-foot trunks to alert the other elephants nearby to stay away from that area. But now just over to our left-hand side, we are starting to make our way around an island here. And if you look very closely, you may also notice the shape of this island looks pretty familiar. But it is home to a flamboyance of the greater flamingo, who are the tallest and the lightest shade of pink compared to any other species of flamingos. Also over here to our right, we're going to find an antelope known as the eland just up there on that hill, who is the second tallest antelope in Africa, standing about 6 feet tall just at the shoulder. Now those greater flamingo that we saw back there are the tallest and lightest shade of pink compared to any other species of flamingos. Now when hatched, they are naturally gray in color, and then due to a nutrient known as beta-carotene, which can be found in those birds' everyday diet, that is how the flamingos get their pink color over time, as their diets consist mainly of some tiny brine shrimp and crustaceans. But coming up here to our left, we're going to find my favorite animal out here on the reserve, known as the white rhinoceros. Now these white rhinos are the largest rhino species found in Africa, as on average they can weigh up to about 5,000 pounds. But do not be fooled by a rhino's very large size, as they can actually charge and run up to a speed of about 35 miles per hour. Now these white rhinos are considered grazers with their rectangular and wide-shaped upper lip that makes it a little bit easier for them to graze off the ground, to pick up some of those shorter grasses and any loose and fallen leaves from the ground as well.
Please take a picture of me with the rhino. Oh, this is.
I got you, Jake. I got you. Put the phone down.
Look.
Put the phone down. He's scratching.
It's a belly rub.
He's scratching.
Baby.
Now just to keep y'all updated, we have come to a stop here because what I am hearing is that a little bit further up in the road there is an animal currently blocking the ride path for some of our trucks to make it safely pass. So we're going to be sitting tight here just until that animal does safely move out of the way. But in the meantime, we do have a pretty good view of this rhino using this broken down tree trunk over here to scratch its whole body with. So now earlier back in the forest at the very start of our journey, we did find those 2 black rhinos, and now we're seeing quite a few of these white rhinos out here. Now the black rhinos we saw, they're more solitary and they prefer to live by themselves and kind of keep to themselves a little bit more, whereas these white rhinos, they like to kind of hang out with each other. Now rhinos have very poor eyesight and can only see about 10 feet in front of them, so that means that they have to rely pretty heavily on their keen sense of smell and hearing to help them navigate through the wild a little bit better. But that poor eyesight does mean rhinos are oftentimes running into their surroundings like rocks, trees, and each other, which is why a group of white rhinos are called a crash. Now rhinos face no natural threat from any predators in the wild. Their main threat is from humans due to poaching slugers or their horns. It is a long-running myth that their horns contain some type of mythical healing power on the inside. However, a rhino's horn is made of keratin, just like our hair and fingernails. That does mean that you can oftentimes find a rhino using their surroundings like rocks and broken down trees to help them file down those horns to keep them nice and pointed. Now if you look very, very closely just up at the very top of that hill, kind of right on all those leaves hanging down from that tree, you may be able to spot a cheetah actually laying down there at the very top of the hill. Now cheetahs are the fastest land mammal in the entire world, as they can run up to a speed of about 60 miles per hour. She might be a little bit hard to see from this angle, but we're going to pull up a little bit here in just a moment and maybe be able to see her a little bit better past these trees here in just a moment. So we're just going to be patient and see if we can maybe get a better view of that cheetah up there.
It's right there.
Oh, I see.
Now, cheetahs can also go from a speed of 0 to 60 miles per hour in a matter of just 3 seconds.
Helps with the
But
20
I
times
like
zone.
to say that cheetahs are just sprinters and not marathon or long distance runners. Now, you can see her kind of up there on the hill a little bit better. We can also see about 3 cheetahs lying down over here a little bit easier up in this top right-hand corner. Now, cheetahs are the only big cat animal that like to do their hunting during the daytime hours compared to the nighttime. But they also are the only big cat animal that do not have retractable claws. But now, cheetahs have over 1,000 spots on their bodies, making it very, very easy for them to camouflage themselves with their surroundings so that cheetahs can sneak up on their prey a little bit easier. But now, that being said, when a cheetah completes their hunt and catches their prey, they will actually wait before they ever start to eat so that they can catch their breath after that very fast and quick sprint. Now, over to our left-hand side, we are starting to make our way around this very, very large rock formation. Now, these rocks are actually known as a formation of copy rocks, and they are usually home to some pretty large predators that like to claim these rocks as their territory to help protect their territory a little bit better, but it also helps them keep a better eye out across the savanna for any of that prey they might want to hunt during those nighttime hours. So we're going to keep our eyes peeled and our fingers crossed to see if we can maybe find some of those large predators up there on those rocks. But it looks like we're also going to see a few more of those white rhinos just off to our right-hand side here as well. But now I do think that we're going to get pretty lucky up ahead and maybe find a big cat kind of lying around just behind that tall patch of grass up there. Now, I know that the song does say that the lion sleeps tonight, but the lion will sleep about 16 to 20 hours during the daytime, as they prefer to do their hunting during those nighttime hours, because a lion's eyesight will become about 6 times more sensitive at night than a human's. But it is usually that lioness up there that will do the hunting, while the male lion prefers to stay back to help protect the cubs and the lion's territory. Now, if you've ever seen the Lion King movie, then you probably already know that a lion's best friend is a silly little warthog named Pumbaa. And just over to our left, we're going to find a few warthogs ourselves this afternoon. Now, warthogs are the largest burrowing animal found in Africa, and they are closely related to the domesticated pig. Now, even though warthogs have the word wart in their name, only the males have actual warts on their face. But not only are we going to find a couple of warthogs just over to our left, we're going to actually find a few of the largest birds in the entire world.
I've never had it. More rhinos. I love you, rhinos.
A crash of rhinos.
Crash of rhinos.
Now, even though an ostrich is a bird, they do remain flightless, but they like to use those 2 very large wings to help them change direction while running. Now, that being said, these birds can run up to a speed of about 40 miles per hour, making them the fastest species on just 2 legs.
Yes, dude. Un omelette de avestruz para la mañana.
Now, since an ostrich can't exactly fly to defend itself in the wild, they will rely on those 2 very strong legs to protect themselves by using a very strong and powerful kick to kick away some of those predators who may try to attack them. But now, an ostrich kick is known to be so strong and powerful that they can actually break a lion's jaw with just 1 single kick. But up ahead here, we are making our way upon the warden's post, who lives out here on the outskirts of the reserve to help us protect some of those wild animals we found back there a little bit better. But the warden also likes to take care of these smaller furry animals over here in the backyard, which are some dairy goats known as the Nigerian dwarf goats. Now, these goats may look pretty small in size, but most of them are actually fully grown adults, which means that this is about as big as they are ever gonna get, making these goats great pets to have, especially compared to some of those larger livestock animals, as these goats require a lot less room to live and survive, which means that some of those wild animals' homes get to stay intact for much longer as well. But now these goats are also very easy to maintain, as all they need to be happy is just some grass to eat, a fence to be contained in, and something to climb and jump on as well. But now they produce a sweet goat's milk that can be taken and sold to the villagers of Harambe for a profit. Now providing that goat's milk as a resource out there, which can even be turned into some goat's cheese, will just allow those villagers to rely less on the wildlife for some of the things that they need, and it helps us as humans do our part to protect the wildlife a little bit better as well.
Oh.
Now we as humans are one of the biggest threats of animals and wildlife facing on the entire planet today. So we want to make sure we can all do our parts, no matter how big or small, to help conserve the animals' homes, their habitats around them, and the animals themselves. And one of the easiest ways you can do your part is just by reducing, reusing, and recycling. Now unfortunately though, it does look like our safari will be coming to an end just up ahead here. So this would be a great time to double check those rows to make sure that you have all of your loose belongings that you brought on board. That way you don't leave anything or anyone behind. Now once again, my name is Haley, all the way from Greenville, North Carolina. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me out there. But friends, here in Harambe, we do not like to say goodbye, as goodbyes are far too sad and final. So we prefer to say a Swahili phrase known as Kwaherini, which means to go well. So friends, Kwaherini, go well, go wild, and go enjoy the rest of your day out there at Disney's Animal Kingdom today. Alright friends, over on the right, watch your hands, arms, feet, and legs. Doors are going to be sliding open. Watch your head and step down out of the truck. And Kwaherini, everyone, go well, go wild. Thanks for having me.
We're having a lunch at Harambe's Gorilla Experience.
You know, because it's Africa, because of all the strange colors and weird combinations.
None that says Africa, like
Maybe
American-made Coca-Cola.
Nothing says more Africa than Coke.